chance to beat Trump by far. John Anzalone, the Democratic pollster who's previously advised Biden, said it should be no surprise that bipartisan appeals sell, even in a party primary. Guess what? Democratic primary voters agree with the fact that the Democratic president should work with Republicans to get things done. So, yeah, I mean, I guess... I don't know how true that is. Because, I mean, I think with posters, however many, like, committed to money, they like, or data, they always have some sort of bias of some shape or form. Like, see, even with the biggest ones, like Nate Silver, they always have a bias. So, again, it'll be interesting to see the way the Iowa primaries turn out, the way the first debate turns out. So, like, nothing really has happened yet, but still, it's going to be an interesting fight to keep on and continue to watch. So, yeah, on the trail, Biden has made no secret that he plans to thwart. He plans to narrow the focus to a Biden-Trump matchup. From his campaign's opening video montage, he purposely targeted Trump while ignoring the wider Republican party and his own Democratic rivals, a strategy that allows him to project himself as the front runner and direct attention to his perceived electability. It's kind of a smart strategy. Like, to say, oh yeah, I could beat Trump, guys. Like people are like, wait a minute, who said you're the Democratic nominee? But, like, as that time passes, there still is that kind of whispering, like, background periphery of somewhat of a question of, yeah, maybe this guy is a front runner, and it's going to be up to Bernie Sanders to make a case that he is more electable. Like, he's going to have a tough round of it because the media is going to be pushing that narrative that, okay, Biden's more electable, Bernie is a crazy socialist. Do people really want to socialize? Like, this is the same thing that Bernie Sanders supporters and Bernie's had to deal with since 2016. It seemed no accident that Biden quickly took his deal-making case from the swing state of Pennsylvania to Dubuque County, which flipped from the Democratic column to Trump in 2016 and sits in the middle of the densest stretch of counties in the nation that made the same shift to Trump. Yet many on the left believe that Biden's nostalgia for a bygone era of comedy, compromise, and civility, while appealing, is misplaced or even naive. They question whether historic pragmatism can even be considered pragmatic anymore in the era of norm-busting hyper-partisanship. Like, I mean, of all the times where you think the country, oh yeah, we're ready for unity. Like, our country is just aching to come together and just walk down the aisle and sing Kumbaya. Again, a complete and utter, amazingly insane misread of the way our political system is right now. Like, we just elected Donald Trump. Our country is more polarized. We got people on the left, we got people on the right. They're very far apart. Like, there's not a lot of issue here. Good luck trying to bring these people together. Like, that's more insane than anything Bernie Sanders has ever proposed by far, in my opinion. Because, like, the fact that we're going to be easily able to come together, and the fact that Republicans are going to be like, oh yeah, we can work with Joe Biden very easily. Like, after a 2020 campaign where Trump's going to be like, Joe Biden's a socialist, you know he's going to say that at one point or another. Joe Biden and Bernie are the same thing. They're just socialists, right? Socialist, all the time. The Fox News machine, the right-wing media machine, they're going to smear Biden out of control. They're going to say Biden sucks. He's part of the deep state. Look at all the things he did with Hillary and Obama. Like, there's a sizable section from space, remember, who thinks Michelle Obama is a woman, like that, or a man. Sorry, that's actually true. Like, that's actually true. And you think they're gonna be like, okay, yeah, let's work with Joe Biden. Like, that sounds like a great idea. Like, no. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Brian Fallon, top spokesman from Hillary Clinton and Senator Chuck Schumer. Wow, you got a great message there. You're doing a great job. Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer, the two most effective, well-loved politicians, very successful in their career. He says Joe Biden knows better because Joe Biden was the wingman for Barack Obama, who in his first year in his presidency, Mitch McConnell say his number one objective was that Barack Obama wasn't reelected. So, yeah, I was doing the dinner where Mitch McConnell was like, okay, we cannot reelect Barack Obama in his first year. But the fact is, that kind of proves the point that we're trying to make here. Like, bipartisanship is not going to work with these people. Like, the idea is not to make friends with them. The idea is to do better than them in elections to the point where, oh my gosh, like, their voice isn't a substantive voice in American politics. Or at least the people representing the right wing are more to the left. Like, that should be kind of the end goal here, in my opinion. Like, we should get to the point where we have a right wing that is significantly more to the left. Like, do we get to a place like Britain where, like, we don't have really, like, open Nazis leading the most prominent factions of the right wing. Like it's just, it shouldn't be that hard. Or like racist people, xenophobic people. like they're kept into a party like UKIP, who like is failing in like epic proportions right now. Yeah, so even though conservatives shouldn't really talk too much to them in Britain, but yeah, the only thing they care about there, and I said Brexit seems, but with good reason. So Fallon acknowledged the political temptation to be less partisan sounding by condemning Trump, condemning only Trump in an attempt to appeal to disaffected Republicans. And this is, again, there is a temptation that they think is there, but like there is literally no evidence that this is ever going to possibly even work. Like, again, 88%, according to recent polls, is Trump's job approval rating among Republicans. Like, 88%. There are no disaffected Republicans. It's a stupid strategy. And I don't think it's really ever worked. I really don't think it's ever worked. I mean, unless they've already moved the party. Like, it failed in 2016. And did it work in 2018? I don't really know. I really don't know. So some Democratic strategists point to Pete Buttigieg as a candidate who grasps the challenge of bipartisan deal-making. I doubt it. While he's offered rhetorical gestures to Republicans, casting himself as a consensus-seeking executive in a red state of Indiana, he has embraced more radical ideas that would help the Democrats bypass the opposition party, such as eliminating the filibuster and stacking the Supreme Court with additional justices. It took Warren only 2 days after the 2016 election to cast Trump as an outgrowth of an electorate demanding change, saying, quote, "The final results may have divided us, but the entire electorate embraced the deep fundamental reform of our economic system and political system," she said then. Like, and I think she has the right idea. Like, people want reform. People want reform, whether in the Trump side, whether they're in the Bernie side. And maybe one side thinks the other side is stupid, but the thing is, they want change, and Joe Biden does not seem to get that. Another person who really does not seem to get that is Nancy Pelosi. She's kind of a situation of paradoxes right now. She does not believe that President Trump can be removed through impeachment. The only way to do it, she said this week, is to defeat him in a 2020 margin by a margin so big he cannot challenge the legitimacy of Democratic victory. That is something she worries about, and I bet it is. We have to inoculate against that. We have to be prepared for that, Pelosi said during an interview at the Capitol on Wednesday, as she discussed her concern that Trump would not give up power voluntarily if he lost re-election by a slim margin next year. I mean, I don't think he would actually. There's a lot of talk, I think, on that front. But, yeah, the de facto head of the Democratic Party until a presidential nominee is selected in 2020 offered Democrats her cold-blooded plan for decisively ridding themselves of President Trump. Oh, it's going to be so good, guys. I can't wait for this. Like, Master Pelosi has it figured out again. Yay, 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 yay. Is she going to say, oh, let's throw Illinois under the bus again? Yeah. Like, I mean, honestly, she's pulled some moves that have been pretty surprising, but incredibly late for Illinois, like being like, the thing she did with Matt Gaetz, where Matt Gaetz is like, "Miss Pelosi, I do apologize." Like, it was like, what? How did that happen? Like, of all the people, like a hooting hound swine that is Matt Gaetz, him to actually come out and apologize to Nancy Pelosi, be like, oh, that was a little surprising, but still, she is not to be trusted, in my opinion, at all with progressive priorities. Sitting in her office with a panoramic view of the National Mall, according to New York Times again, Pelosi, the de facto head of the Democratic Party, she said she's got this cold-blooded plan. Do not get dragged into a protracted impeachment bid that will ultimately get crushed in the Republican-controlled Senate, and do not risk alienating the moderate voters who flocked to the party in 2018 by drifting too far to the left. She said, own the center left, own the mainstream. And by the way, she's 79. I didn't know that. She looks like 60s. I gotta give her credit. She's looking good for 70. There's no way she's 79. All right, I gotta check the New York Times. Like, was that okay? Nancy Pelosi. She's honestly like, damn, 1940. That's when she was born. Wow, she's. I don't know. She does look a little senile sometimes. I have to be honest, but I did not think she was that old. So let's give a round of applause to credit to Nancy Pelosi for just looking good. Yeah, Nancy, that's a Democratic energy right there. Looking good. All right, yeah, enough of that. But still, Nancy Pelosi, completely wrong on this front, I have to say. On the center left, on the mainstream. Well, the thing is, again, what evidence? It's all everything we hear from these people. It's just based solely on conventional wisdom, and things like that. Just people saying, "Oh yeah, that's nice." I mean, we all know socialism doesn't work in this country. Just based on we just ignore polls and say, "Oh, it doesn't work. it's not really backed up is the thing. It's just really not backed up by posters, by recent evidence, the way things are going, and the position that people support. Like, you get even Barack Obama coming out in support of Medicare, all saying it should be part of the conversation. Okay, Barry. But still, like, you got that group of people coming out and saying that. And I just don't think, I kind of do tend to agree with her about the risks of impeachment, but I mean, the center left is not the mainstream anymore. It's the positions, again, that lost the Democrats 2016. It's just that simple. I mean, I feel like if we just, like, got her to say some things, got her to support some things, got her to, like, actually come through and champion some things, like, she could actually be really effective. But, like, I don't think she's ever going to be, because she just, like, that is who she is. Like, she is not someone who's going to come out and say, oh, I love Medicare for all, and stuff like that. So, yeah, we did not engage in some of the other exuberances that exist in our party. She said, Green New Deal or Green New Dream or whatever. It's just, like, she's just absolutely, she's like, I mean, she's just taking dump after dump on the left. If the left did that to the center of the Democratic Party, the center of the Democratic Party would never let the left hear the end of that. And just, again, that's something that I keep coming back to because it's just so true. Yeah, she said our passions were for healthcare, bigger paychecks, cleaner government, a simple message. Pelosi said after the 40-seat pickup last year that resulted in her second ascent to the speakership. We did not engage in some of the other exuberances that exist in our party. And again, like, you chose to talk about healthcare, right? But you did not choose to support the thing that the most popular healthcare policy in the country, the most coherent, well-supported healthcare policy in the country, because it was a little unfriendly to your friends like Wendell Primus, the guy who makes speeches to healthcare companies saying, "Oh, we got this Medicare for all thing covered," when as in to say it's not gonna affect you guys, don't worry, and then goes right back to Nancy Pelosi's staff and brew meetings like that. Like, that's why the Democratic Party is never going to work, and that's why Nancy Pelosi is never going to work as speaker. Like, as soon as there's, like, another option, like, I don't think Nancy Pelosi, I would not support personally Nancy Pelosi just being around, because like that's, or at least leading the Democratic Party. Like, she could be there, I mean, I guess, but like I think it's really dangerous, really bad. So many Democrats are just like latching on to her like as this icon, like right behind AOC, when they're just so different. I think people really should kind of understand that and get a better picture of that in the future. All right. Yeah, nearly 5 months into her second speakership, Pelosi appears to be embracing her role as the only Democrat with power to oppose Trump. While she seems comfortable waging battle with him, her unease about the president's behavior only intensified since the Democrats' triumphal election. Few people outside of Pelosi's inner circle were aware of how worried she was that Trump would try to stop the opposition party from taking control of the House unless the Democrats' victory was emphatic enough for it to be indisputable. If we win by 4 seats by 1,000 votes each, he's not going to respect the election, Pelosi said, recalling her thinking of running in the run-up to the 2016 elections. I mean, honestly, I have a tough time believing that. I may be naive, but I really do have a tough time believing he'd be like, no, you can't. He would poison the public mind. He would challenge each of the races. He would say, oh, you can't see these people. We had to win. Imagine if we hadn't won. Oh, don't even imagine. So as we go forward, we have to have the same approach. But again, it's so different. Again, House elections, Senate elections, presidential elections, they're very different. And areas, again, where the Democratic Party won, they were largely in suburban areas. And I think that's not going to be viable. That's just not going to be viable. They picked up spots in Wisconsin as well. I mean, they could have been... Like, we just need to have some kind of a coherent policy. Like, that is something, like, I will not support any kind of Democrat that doesn't have somewhat of a coherent, clear policy message. It's just that simple. All right, with that, we turn from Nancy Pelosi to another prominent woman in the Democratic Party, Kamala Harris, following up on her intense questioning of Attorney General William Barr earlier this week in the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator Kamala Harris sent a letter Friday to the Justice Department's Inspector General seeking an investigation of Barr. Specifically, Harris wants to know if President Trump or anyone else in the White House sought to compel Barr to investigate Trump's political enemies, including Hillary Clinton. So they try to use just the Justice Department for political purposes here. Let's take a look at some of this very awkward, let's just say, testimony between Kamala Harris and William Barr a few days ago.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Barr, has the President or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested